Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Luke at Ocean, coming at you live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're watching this live, or if you're going to be tuning in here in a minute to watch it live, thank you. We're pumped to have you with us. If you're watching this later on, thanks for jumping on and watching this. This has become one of my just favorite parts of the week. I'm doing this 3 times a week. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going live at 3 p.m. Our initial heart and idea behind this was, let's find leaders who are navigating this interesting moment we're all living through with excellence, with expertise, have something to offer the broader community. And let's have these quick, easy, fun conversations with them to hear how they're leading and how they're navigating in the midst of this COVID crisis that we're all experiencing. As we began to do some of these, we realized that another really fun way to utilize this tool would be to let some folks meet the founders of our current Ocean Accelerator class. If you're not familiar, Ocean Accelerator is in its 6th class. This thing's been going on since 2014. We bring high-tech founders from all over the world into an 18-week program that we call Ocean Accelerator. It's one of our flagship things we do at Ocean. It's a ton of fun. We have 5 companies represented in this year's class. They're about 3/4 of the way through their process. And we realized there were 5 Wednesdays in April. We said it'd be a fun way every Wednesday for us to utilize this broadcast to introduce a founder and have a conversation every Wednesday. We're going to talk to Jim Hewitt from Roamina today, and I'm excited for you guys to meet Jim. He's with us right now. Jim, what's going on, man?
How you doing, Luke? It's pretty cool.
I'm doing well. Yeah, thank you for carving out some time to do this.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, I'm excited for folks to get to know you and to get to know Roamina. So let's just dive right in right there. You know, the big entrepreneurial question, right? The kind of buzzy question that you want to have on the tip of your tongue at any given time is, what is the problem that you are trying to solve?
Well, I've spent 20 years in data and analytics and before I started this, and it was a great career. But if we're honest with ourselves, the industry's become somewhat of a disaster and train wreck. It's been tainted by the misuse of consumer data and the abuse of consumers' data. And, you know, as I started looking at the ecosystem, because I was part of all of that, I saw firsthand some of this. And I said to myself, I was like, you know what, there's a better way. There's a much better way to accomplish this. And the problem I see is that consumers, individuals, you and I, have no capabilities to own the value of our data. Now, it could be any type of data, but we have no capabilities. And I thought, you know, what if we took all of the big data stuff we're doing for massive corporations, billion-dollar corporations, and took all those skills to take technologies and brought that down and created these micro applications for consumers. And we could empower consumers and they could be in charge and they could take control. So the big problem that I saw, at least, was that, you know, 1, consumers don't own the value of their data. And 2, if they could direct it, you know, businesses could have a new experience. Because if you look at businesses, they don't do very good with data either. So it's a little bit of a 2-sided problem that we're solving. You know, empower consumers, and then we can empower businesses of all sizes.
Yeah, this is not a small task you're tackling, is it?
No. It's a completely opposite approach to how we do things. We've been working on this for about 2 years now, and the first, I would say, year plus was about, like, how do we address this? How do we tackle this? What do we do? Where do we start? And I think we've got a pretty good trajectory and path forward. And that's about the same time that we met Oceans and became part of your program.
Yeah. So would you say that, you know, this is almost like a redemptive opportunity around the data conversation?
It is. It is. And, you know, if I look at myself personally, it is a little bit about redemption. Because I know, you know, I know what I used to do and how I thought about data and analytics. And it was about how much more data can we get from consumers without them really even knowing, and then putting that to use. But really, the architecture, the technology behind this makes so much more sense. It's not just about, you know, doing the right thing, which is 100%, you know, where we're focused, but it's also about a new architecture that changes the entire landscape. And what I mean by that is when we think about data, we think that we have to own it, like a business has to have all the data themselves internally. But what we're talking about is splitting apart applications where data can live distributed, with an individual, and then businesses can ask consent and permission to access that without harvesting it. So it is a massive change in thinking. It's a massive change in architectures. But we found a path that's going to take us forward one step at a time.
Yeah, you've said we a few times. I know you're a co-founder. You're a team guy. Tell us a little bit about the team that you have around you and how who's on this journey with you.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more excited about my two other co-founders, and we have a great team of advisors. But the first thing I did was I said, I need one of the best data scientists that I can find in the area to work with. And through some connections, I found a guy by the name of Kaisha Zhang, who has spent 20 years in data science. He's a PhD applied mathematician. And everybody I spoke with loves Kaisha. He spent a lot of time at dunnhumby. He, A451, he helped write the analytics engine for the recommendations that you get from Kroger. He went on to Alliance Data. He did a lot of work up there with major brands and Luxottica. And I remember the first time I met Kaisha, I was coming down from Columbus and running a little late. And I was afraid I was going to, miss our dinner. And I showed up 5 minutes early, and Kaisha was sitting in the chair. He got there 10 minutes before I did. And he's been there 10 minutes early every single time.
Oh, wow.
And when I shared this story and the idea, he said, Jim, I've had that same idea. I'd love to work with you on it. And it shocked me. So Kaisha was in. And then Pat Feldman, who is another co-founder, he is just an outstanding application engineer, full stack guy, has a heart for gaming and gaming interfaces. So what we're trying to do is bring the gaming interface to these applications and make them really easy for people. So that's our core team, Kaisha, Pat, and myself.
That's super cool, man. I mean, you're using words and you're tying things together that I don't think people ever have with data. Like, we don't typically think about, like, how do we gamify our data, or like, how do I own my data as a consumer, as a user? So these are super cool things. You have an amazing team. You guys you've been a joy to have around the Ocean office. So thank you for jumping in, being part of Ocean. I want to talk a little bit about that journey. What have you kind of experienced at Ocean? How has Ocean been formative for your learnings as a business leader and as a founder of a high-tech company?
I think the Accelerator for us was at the right time. It wasn't too late. It wasn't too early. We came at the right time. And there are three things that have helped us. And I think one is that Ocean has helped us round out the edges of our story and our business and what we're doing. And what I mean by that is, you think about Ocean, it's not it's a tough love type of place. I mean, the team that mentors our coaches, they're going to tell you when something is not good. They're going to be like, you've got to work on this and get it better. Or you're missing the mark on this. I want to see more. And so they push us, but they push us in a good way. And then secondly is the community and the networking, which has just been outstanding. I've met so many people. I was just looking today, we've had about 50 different sessions of interactions with different entrepreneurs, leaders in the community, investors. And then I feel like we're more prepared now than we ever have been.
And that's cool. That's encouraging to hear. What is something, as you think about who might be watching this video or who might jump in, which, by the way, hey, if you're watching this right now, if you have a question for Jim, if you have a question you want to see us kind of talk about or him to answer, please just throw a comment out there. Or if you just want to say hi and share this, do that as well. But Jim, as you think, hey, there might be other founders, there might be people leaning into the early stages of an idea or thinking, especially in this interesting societal moment that we all live in right now, folks may be facing unemployment or layoffs, and they may, we know that entrepreneurial activity goes up when the economy suffers. It's kind of counterintuitive, but that's sort of how it works. So when unemployment goes up, entrepreneurship goes up. Is there something that you've picked up at Ocean or in your experience that you just feel like, man, this was a nugget of wisdom, or this was an insight, or this was a moment that I just wish every entrepreneur could capture? Maybe that's something personal, or maybe that's something really kind of like in the entrepreneurial acumen piece.
That's a great question. If I think about it, Brian Tome, who's the senior pastor, lead pastor at Crossroads, he came to speak with us one day, and just a fun discussion, because he talked about how he started the church, right, and what he went through. But he had said something that stuck with me that was pretty cool. He's like, God is into new things. He's really into new things, and you could just have the status quo, keep doing the same thing again and again and again, and that's easy, and that's for a lot of people. But if you're called to make a change, if you're called into something, go do it. And it's not going to be easy, and you're going to get beat up, and you're going to run into unexpected things like, COVID, where every single business that we would sell to is shut down right now in every category. But that doesn't mean that you may still be called to do that. And you just have to find a new way or a different way of working through the problems, because you're going to have problems, and it doesn't matter. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I'll say that. It's a challenge, and you sacrifice a lot. But for me, I've been encouraged that it's about who I am as a person, my own identity. It's not necessarily completely tied to the business. So separating those two is very important, and that's something that I think Ocean has reminded me about. They kind of remind us about that daily.
Wow, man, that's awesome. I love hearing that answer, and I can just tell folks who are watching that's very reflective of Jim and his heart, his personality in the office. He is someone who is concerned about the other. He's concerned about kind of doing things the right way. He is honest. He's graceful, and man, we've just been lucky to have you on board and as a part of kind of this cohort. And it's a bummer how all this has been wrapping up for us. We're not done. We're still meeting virtually. You guys are on Zoom calls constantly with experts from all over the country who are pouring into you. We have a virtual demo day coming up on May 7th that is going to be phenomenal. We have some incredible plans for this thing. It's going to be awesome. But it's an interesting way it's wrapped up. And actually the way the implications here, the coronavirus, the COVID stuff, has it's actually touched you pretty personally. And there may be folks right now that are watching going, that guy looks familiar. Where have I seen him? You've probably seen him on the local news. Jim, do you care to share a little bit about your experience with us?
Yeah, so I came down with COVID on March 12th, the evening of March 12th. So I was in the office in the Ocean's office that day, and it was that night that I came down with symptoms, and I haven't been back since, and self-quarantine right away. But all the symptoms you hear on TV, right? They wouldn't test me until Sunday, the 22nd. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, the room's spinning, and they took me to the hospital. That's when I got tested. But 2 weeks later, I got my results back and said, hey, COVID's detected, right? So my Channel 9 came and interviewed me over the weekend, it was. And really the message was that the numbers are very misleading. In our community, it doesn't show that there's that many cases, but the way I look is, I think, and again, I'm a data and analytics guy, right? I look at this and I see the numbers. I'm like, okay, I had it. My family had it. My partner, Kaisha, had it. My in-laws have it. Well, we think they do. But that's, 1 in 7 identified. And then when you look at asymptomatic, right, that's, could be a ton of people. So it's out there, it's in the community. Don't be fooled into a false sense of security just because the numbers are low. The numbers don't really mean much of anything. So and then Channel 9 was like, hey, that's a great story. You need to tell that. I said, okay, that's fine.
Well, Jim, we're so grateful that you and your family are healthy. You're on the other side of it now, right? You're past the window and all that kind of
10,
stuff.
12 days since fever. So, almost a month since first symptoms. So doing really good.
I mean, this was not a mild thing. You were pretty much, you were down for the count, right?
Yeah, about a week and a half. I tried to do some ocean work and do some presentations, work on my pitch, and it just wasn't happening. So, and Kaishu was down for, about 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
But
do you have any advice for people, or like early warning signs, or just, stay home? Like, what would you tell people?
Just stay home. We had, the other thing I'd have to say is that we had so much support from friends, family, and neighbors. I mean, they were dropping meals off at the bottom of the driveway, like they wouldn't even come up. But we had people delivering groceries and meals. And so I would say, if you feel symptomatic, just assume that you have it, self-quarantine. But then check in with your friends, check in with your family, and your neighbors especially, because they might be struggling with something and you could help them out.
That's good, man.
We're so grateful for that support.
That's a good message. Yeah, this is such an interesting time and an opportunity to engage with people differently. People are so receptive right now to a phone call. I've heard so many people say, like, no one likes to talk on the phone anymore. It's 2020, right? But right now, everyone's like, yeah, I can talk. Let's chat. Let's hang out. Like, people are open to having real conversations.
You have more time. You actually have more time. I mean, we're not commuting an hour and a half, back and forth every day. And, that opens up a ton of time.
It really does. Well, Jim, thank you for sharing your story, both about the COVID experience you had, and then really about your company and your experience with Ocean. Are you ready for May 7th? Are you fired up for demo day? Are you feeling good to go?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I scrapped the entire pitch halfway into it and rewrote it. I like where we are now. That's part of what Ocean does, right? They'll put their arm around you and say, we got to work on this. I said, okay.
Well, you've had some good people in your life, man. That's great. Well, we can't wait to hear you pitch. Hey, we're going to be meeting these other founders the next 3 Wednesdays. We've already met Marvin from CareCuts and now Jim from Roamina. Jim, is there another founder in your cohort that you're like, oh, you guys are going to love encountering this person, or another idea that you just, one of the other members here is like, I think that's so cool?
I have tremendous respect for all of the co-founders, everybody in our cohort. They're so much fun. They're so passionate about what the problems they're trying to solve. I think you're really going to get a kick out of Mike and Shower when they get on. We love them. They're great. The eCoin bit, smart bit for horses. I love it.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So yeah, everybody's wonderful.
Cool. Jim, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing your pitch on demo day on May 7th.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Luke. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, so that was Jim Hewitt from Roamina. Such a cool company solving a big problem and going to really make a difference in the way that we imagine, the way we think about data, and hopefully not just on our individual user end, right? But they are transforming, I think, the marketplace, and they're helping brands think, how can I be more responsible? How can we be more kind of co-owners and co-caring about the collection that we're getting from people, and how can we respect that in the best ways possible to create opportunity for them and for us. So thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, whether you're watching this live, whether you're going to check it out later. It's fun to see the comments. It's fun to see folks kind of tuning in and chiming in. We're doing this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern time. We're sitting down, we're talking to someone that we just feel like has value to add in this moment. So we can't wait to see you here on Friday, 3 o'clock. Thank you. Talk soon.